I'm your Student Leadership President, Margaret Greenaway, and I'm joining you live from the Beryl Theatre at the OU campus in Milton Keynes. The OU Students Association was born in 1972, just a short few years after the Open University was established by Royal Charter. Our mission is to make a positive difference to all OU students, and this is the underlying principle of everything we do. Simply put, we exist to empower and support OU students during their studies. The association provides a range of services, including advice, volunteer opportunities, clubs and societies, social events, and so much more. Whether today is your first taster of the association or you're a seasoned pro, welcome and thank you for joining us. So the association is largely run by a team of elected students and supported by external trustees and a staff team. Everyone works together to ensure the student voice is heard at the OU and beyond. The student leadership team is elected every 2 years to represent the collective rather than the individual needs of the student body and to influence all levels of decision making within the OU. By leading the association's strategic direction, running events, and promoting your interests to the OU on your behalf, the student leadership team ensure the OU is more than just a place of learning, it's a community. Today, I will be guiding you through the session as conference chair. I will be thanking the outgoing SLT and trustee teams, as well as welcoming the new team who start on the 1st of August 2024. We will spend some time looking back at our achievements over the past 2 years before sharing your voting results with you and moving to a Q&A where you can ask your questions to the current elected team. So, I'm joined today by fellow student leadership team and board of trustee members, some who are joining us here in Beryl, some who are joining online, and unfortunately some who are not able to make it with us today. So for the last 2 years, I have had the privilege to be supported by Jack Flaherty, Kaz Murphy, Pauline Robinson, Nicola Connolly, Nigel Patterson, Isabel Hoyett, Natalie Baker, Kaz Flowers, Michael Bryan, Kelly Coker, Lou Robinson, Mark Walker, Stephen Hughes, and Matt Porterfield. Over the term, we've also had other members who have come and gone due to personal reasons, and I also extend my thanks to them. Reed Townsend, Ben Mansell, Samantha Ferguson, Laura Marlander-Carter, Paul Reed, Mohaya Dean, Gareth Jones, and Elizabeth Scully. The student leadership team may be the face of our organisation, but the board of trustees are legally and financially responsible for our work, focused on strategy, sustainability and compliance. They make sure we can continue to exist to offer vital support to students. Your board of trustees for the 2022 to 24 term has been chaired by Mark Price, and a huge thank you goes to the team. Mark Walker, Michael Bryan, Charles Charong-Foy, Jonathan Duran, Alan Measures, Anka Seaton, Claire Stibben, Claire Wallace, Fanny Nicole, and of course, Mark Price for his leadership. Opportunity to ask the outgoing team questions in this session, so start thinking about any you would like to put to them in just a few moments. But first, let me remind you of our newly elected student leadership team for the term starting 1st of August 2024 to 2026. We have your faculty reps, who are Jack, Jonah, Sharon and Scott. Area and nation reps, Isabel, Connor, Reese and Lucy. We do have a vacancy in Scotland and will be looking at filling this role in the future. We introduced two new representative roles this year, and your sustainability rep will be Jethro, and your new Black, Asian and minority ethnic rep will be Exata. Two vice presidents, each with a specific remit to support students, include Jade, Olivia, Ross, Nicola, Katie and Mark. with Andrew taking on the important role of student member of OU Council. Finally, I'm very pleased to hand over the torch to your new President, Natalie Baker, and Deputy President, Andrew Wilson, and I wish you all the best for your new role. Natalie, would you like to share a few words about what you're most looking forward to in taking on the role of President for the 2024-2026 term?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to sort of continuing some of the amazing work that we've already started, as well as tackling those up and coming issues that we know are probably heading our way, and just making sure that we're continuing to promote the association so that as many OU students know who we are and that we're there to support them and that we're saying what they want us to.
Last but no means least, let me introduce you to our new trustees of the 2024 to 2026 term. This includes trustees returning to us, Matt, Claire and Adelaide, as well as 3 brand new student trustees, Gerard, Lily and Kelly. So many of you may or may not know that the elected team and trustees are almost all volunteers, taking on their roles alongside studying to make a difference for all OU students. They are supported by many other wonderful volunteers who sit on OU committees, host meetups and clubs, run graduation stalls and so much more. So before I announce the voting results, I would appreciate you joining me in watching this video, sharing a look back on the past 2 years and all this term and those volunteers have achieved together.
As a team, the OU Students Association have been campaigning to support OU students in the higher education sector. Association President Margaret met with the Minister of State for Universities to raise the continued lack of maintenance support for part-time distance learning students. Gareth Jones, former Deputy President, gave evidence at the Education Select Committee inquiry into the effects of the marking and assessment boycott, where he talked about the impact this has had on OU students. The team have also made changes to the Senate reference group to improve the way it runs. Students can now nominate themselves, as well as groups being able to nominate representatives, and our meetings are also conducted online, which has seen an increase in attendance. Nicola Connolly, one of our faculty reps, tells us the most enjoyable part of her role has been meeting students in person and online to work collaboratively to achieve the priorities we set out at the beginning of the term. And there's been lots to celebrate, as in Series 30 of the University Challenge Team Open reached the quarterfinals, which is our best performance since winning University Challenge in 1999. In 2023, our Tutor Awards received an outstanding 738 nominations, a massive increase on the previous year. The student engagement is a testament to the positive relationships and experience that many OU students have with their tutors. Many students joined us for online and face-to-face pressure events and told us how much they enjoyed attending, and that these events made them much more aware of our services, events, and how we represent and support students. One Freshers attendee told us, being a distance learner can be very daunting. I felt that because of Freshers Week, I didn't feel alone and felt like I was part of something. I want to thank you so much for being so inclusive. Back in November, we ran a campaign titled At Home but Not Alone to support Isolation Awareness Month, aiming to support students who may be feeling isolated as distance learning students. This term, sustainability has been made a core aspect of our strategy for 2023 to 2027. We achieved 100% results in the Student Union and Student Representation categories in the People and Planet University League. We have continued to build our partnership with the OU, and our collaborative work on Responsible Futures accreditation has been completed and awarded. Our Vice President, EDI, told us that although there have been challenging times, she has been able to be involved in conversations that will ensure there is support and a place for all OU students at the OU. Our library study volunteers support students who are studying in secure environments who do not have access to the library and sometimes the internet. In December 2023, we celebrated the completion of 500 research requests comprising 2,945 pieces of research for 178 students in secure environments. But by April 2024, we have now exceeded 600 research requests. Continuing that trend, our individual representation service has gone from strength to strength, with 113 cases referred to the service since December 2023. And in March and April, the service supported 54 students in total, in comparison to just 18 students the same time last year. Students accessing the service told us that being listened to and feeling understood enabled them to raise their concerns and be heard. In collaboration with the OU in Wales, we were able to give 700 students in Wales a free 3-year totem card as part of an initiative to respond to the cost of living crisis in Wales. There's many more things we could talk about, but for now, we just want to say a huge thank you to everyone who's been involved in all of these projects, campaigns and events. And we're excited for our future achievements with you on board.
Thank you. Thank you for watching that video, and wow, looking back, it is a little bit emotional. So now on to the conference results. So the conference resolutions, which were comprised of 11 ordinary resolutions and 3 special resolutions. So ordinary resolutions require a simple majority of 50% of delegate votes to pass, compared to special resolutions, which alter our governing documents and require a 75% majority vote in order to be passed. A full list of conference resolutions can be found on the Association website or by clicking on the Resources tab in your app menu. So what do results mean? Well, put simply, results become actions. Sometimes these actions mean change, for example, with Resolution D, whereby a majority vote would create an action of rebranding the OU Students Association to the OU Students Union. Sometimes these actions are continuation, for example, Resolution N, whereby a majority vote would approve a continuation of our affiliation with Wonky. Ultimately, getting involved in voting means that your student voice has been heard and the collective needs of the student body are being met. So this year marked an important year for the association, where we were able to boost conference voting and participation by removing the gap on attendance. We were able to do this by hosting our conference predominantly online and allow many more students to get involved. This year, 1,828 of you voted, which compared to an average of 288 over the past 10 years meant an increase of 534%. This means we have heard views from more students than ever before, and you have been part of that. Our first 3 resolutions required 75% of the delegate vote to pass, and were all passed at this stage, with all 3 receiving over 80% approval. This means we will be changing our government documents to officially call the Central Executive Committee the Student Leadership Team, add 3 to 5 EDI positions to our student leadership team to improve representation on the team, and we will add a small wording change to allow us to hold our trustee elections in alternate years to the student leadership team. So our next 3 resolutions require just a simple majority to pass. But as you can see, an overwhelmingly positive vote has supported. The Students' Association rebranding to call themselves Open SU and identify as a students' union publicly. A campaign to protect the OU's curriculum. And on a personal note, something I feel extremely passionate about and pledged to work towards in my election manifesto in 2022, you have supported the association to campaign for the university to better support diagnosis of neurodivergent conditions, with 91.28% of you voting to approve. So all other motions to ask conference to approve our minutes for conference 2022, approve our accounts and continue with our affiliations were passed, and further voting breakdowns along with the full results will be posted to our website Monday the 17th of June 2024 for all members to see. So you might be wondering what happens next, and put simply, your outgoing and incoming teams will be working to implement the change you voted for as soon as possible. Article changes will be made immediately and submitted to Companies House and the OU Council to be updated. Our campaigns to change the name of the organisation will require further student input and consultation. So if you want to get involved, make sure you are following us or on our mailing lists. Finally, on to our Q&A sessions. So, a chance for me to pass the mic on to Beth, who will be reading out any questions submitted to the student leadership team or the Board of Trustees members to answer. And some questions have come in advance, but you can also submit questions now via the Q&A function.
Thank you, Margaret. And I think we deserve to give Margaret a big round of applause for that as well. Okay, so I am in the privileged position now of being able to ask student questions to our elected teams. And we have had some questions that were sent in advance, and we also have some that I can see are coming through the Q&A chat box as well. So thank you everyone for submitting questions. So I'll start off with a question that is going to be addressed to Kaz and to Nigel. And so someone has asked in advance, a student named Paul, what the current situation is with the clubs and associations, societies. What are our plans to boost engagement? And are there any short-term plans to make changes to clubs? So if you want to pick up on that, and then
okie dokes. Well, I'll talk primarily about societies. There are 2 main ways in which we promote societies. One is, of course, through our website, and the other is through the Freshers' Fair, where we have a Clubs and Societies Fair. And there are 2 components to that. There is a face-to-face event, and there is also an online event, both of which have been pretty well attended. So far as the events during Freshers' Fair are concerned, the main change that we've got there is that we don't want to advertise it just to freshers. Obviously it's there for freshers, but it's also there for continuing students. So we're looking at how to publicise it for continuing students. So far as clubs are actually relatively informal organisations. Societies are required to have a constitution, certain named officers, including a treasurer, and they also need to submit accounts on a regular basis. Really, it should be annual. And in return, societies are able to apply for grants from the association, and they can be used for things such as setting up a new website, which is another way of publicising their existence. It should be said that there are a multitude of different sorts of societies and clubs. Some of these are discipline based, such as, for example, the Maths Society or arts. Some of them, particularly clubs, might be based around interests. So there's not a single way of promoting each kind. So what we try to do is if a society or club wants support, then the association and particularly the wonderful communities team in the office will obviously offer support on that. And I guess I've probably rabbited on sufficiently.
What's coming about clubs?
Yeah, so there are lots of different clubs, primarily on Facebook, but not only on Facebook. And they are interests from, I mean, cats was the first one I discovered, and I discovered that far too late into my studies. But there's also like book ones, there's writing ones, serial killer ones. So, you know, you can take some time and have a look for some different ones, but also we welcome applications for new ones. So if you've got a hobby that you think other people also share, absolutely get in contact with us, because, you know, we'd love to have more and more, because the more things we have in common with each other, the less we feel isolated, which I think is a great part of being an OU student, is to not be on our own.
Thanks, Kaz. And I'm aware that your term finishes on the 31st of July, but are there any short-term changes expected for clubs?
Always. I think it's just, my mind's gone blank now. This is a problem with being put on the spot, isn't it? The pressure. I mean, there's changes coming. The community team are very good at sort of announcing those on the pages. So have a look at the OU Student Association page on the website as well, because they are fantastic ways of keeping up to date with all of the information that's out there.
Thanks, Kaz. Okay. So I've got another question that was submitted in advance, and then I'll come to a couple of the ones that are coming through the chat box. So this one is for Matt, I believe, as OU Council member. And so this has come in anonymously, but it is a question about Campus 2030. So for context, some of you may not be aware, but there was an announcement made by Tim Blackman, our Vice Chancellor, regarding exploring a site in Milton Keynes where there could be campus-based learning on offer. And so the question is, what are your thoughts on the new plans put forward by Tim Blackman around Campus 2030?
Right, thanks, Beth, and thanks to the questioner, because this is a very current topic. I'd like to answer it briefly with two different hats on. First of all, as a student representative and a member of the leadership team, we are scrutinising even the proposals carefully to ensure there's no detriment to existing distance learning students, nor will it negatively impact future students who wish to study remotely. Our focus is on current members of the student body, but we are not opposed in principle to offering campus-based study in whatever location is chosen, and that isn't decided. But it's important it should not diminish any resources, whether that's financial resources, academic resources, support, student support, etc., it shouldn't diminish any of them for our established core learners. I think that's our duty as part of the leadership team. I'm also the student member of council. I can't really answer on their behalf, so I don't have an opinion there. We don't have even an outline plan, a definite outline plan on Campus 2030 at this stage. And really, until we get that outline plan or even the start of a business case, I don't think that any of us can make a judgment of whether or not it's in the best interests of the university.
Thanks, Matt. Okay, I have a question that's come in through the Q&A from Billy. So this question is, we see information, including the conference, being held on campus in Milton Keynes. Are there any plans to do stuff in the nations? We had been promised a January freshers in 2024 would be out in the nations, but this had not happened. So this is asking around plans to host events in the nations face-to-face across the year. So I'm not sure who would be best to answer if someone wants to put their hand up, but otherwise I may just pick someone on the stage. Would you like to answer one?
As a recent newcomer to the team, also representing part of Scotland as part of my remit, we would try and have some sort of plans for this year's coming freshers with the new SLT. We have a good working relationship in the nations, well I do, and they're keen on having freshers activities during face-to-face as well as online. So yes, it will happen if it can happen.
Thank you. And I'm also aware that Margaret will be sharing in her closing session some dates for Results Day celebration meetups as well, which are held across the UK.
Connor, our new Wales rep, wanted to come
in
as well.
Yes, Connor from Wales, new rep coming in.
Hello. Thank you very much for the question again, and I completely agree with what you're saying there, Mark, but these freshers ideas are, I think they're really good. I am determined to get more social meetups arranged across Wales. I would do across all the nations if I could, but definitely across Wales to get more social activity, because I feel they would greatly benefit each and every student within our nations.
Thanks, Connor. That's fantastic. Yeah, Mark just wants to add to that.
Just following on what Connor says, I mean, I'm not sure what form I'll be taking, if any form of representation for Scotland in my new role. But Connor and I are already working this thing ahead, working together if we can between the nations, within the community's remit, but certainly the nations will be speaking together if it can possibly happen.
Perfect. Natalie?
So on the subject of meetups and those sorts of things, I'm going to do a cheeky little plug. If you want meetups and you want people to get together, then we've got some meetup host roles going at the moment where we'll offer you the training and the help to be able to get those put together, because without our volunteers to run the meetups, we can't do them. So please check out those out as well.
Thank you. Yeah. Always got to get those cheeky plugs in, haven't we? So thank you. I've got another question online coming from Dale Fletcher. So thank you for the opportunity to attend conference today and also for being able to take part in voting for resolutions. May I ask, what do the SLT feel the likely best and worst impacts to the OU and the association will be of the prospect of a change in government? This is not intended as a party political question. They wanted to make you clear on. And obviously I need to remind everyone that we are apolitical at the association, but does anyone want to come in on what they feel could impact the association or the OU with this change? Margaret?
Thanks, Beth. Well, going on that, I just wanted to make a note that we've recently launched our own manifesto for lifelong learning. So this is, cross-party. It's not political based, and it's for all political affiliations, political leaders, and it's, try and get everyone together to support lifelong learning and to provide the funding and to provide the framework there. I've been in talks with many different areas in government, and it's similar across the board, but we're still pushing, we're still fighting, we're going to continue that. Doesn't matter who's in, you know, who's going to be running the government. I think the main issue is that everyone is impacted by the cost of living, and that's, you know, caused cuts across the board everywhere. So whether it's across the university, across the association, across the government, and different resources that are available, but I'm still pushing. And while I'm still in, you know, as president, I will keep pushing and keep nagging those ministers, and I'm sure Natalie will be taking up the baton and continue as well. So we're still pushing with that, and yeah, hopefully we'll continue.
Thank you. Mark, did you want to come in?
On the subject, a little bit of a plug again. On the subject of the election, can I remind all students that voter ID is required at all elections, all parts of the UK for this election, and get ID sorted out now before it's too late.
Yeah, and get yourself registered to vote.
I'll just jump in there. I forgot to say that our manifesto is available for everyone to read on oustudents.com. So please visit the website, share it everywhere, and yeah, just get as many people to see it, and then hopefully, you know, with the collective and everyone out there pushing for it, hopefully we will get change eventually. Just hopefully we'll get it sooner than things take.
Thank you. Okay, I'll go back to some of the questions that were submitted in advance. So this one's for Lou, and this is for Lou in her role as chair of the Environment and Sustainability Working Group. So could you please summarise what progress USA have made towards net zero and what the next steps are? And this is from Jessica.
Thank you. So we've made a phenomenal amount of progress. The sustainability work was pretty much nothing when we came in 2 years ago. So overall sustainability has had a massive growth, and it was quite nice for me because anything was better than nothing. So it was always going to be a lift. But in terms of net zero, we've been working very closely with the university, who have developed a tool. It's a Spark reporting tool. Don't ask me what Spark stands for. I'm not good with acronyms. I'm sorry. But we've been taking part in that and feeding into the university's response to net zero as well, which is a very important part of this, because we're quite small compared to the wider university and its campus. So representing kind of student voice and pushing them forward, estates and the warehouse, who supply all the printed materials and your books, are making amazing progress, and being the student voice, kind of helping push them along, has also been great. But as an association, we have secured some funding to have a full overview of our carbon footprint. That's going to be done very, very imminently, and that will allow us to kind of pick out target areas that we can work on, which is really, really good, because it will give us that full overview that we need. But we have already started making little moves forward anyway. So we have introduced sustainability clauses to our travel and subsistence policy. So students can now, even if it's more expensive, choose to travel by public transport rather than drive, which is a fantastic thing to have. And I've been pushing other students' unions via Twitter to do the same thing. So that's been very, very popular out there. But yeah, lots more to come from sustainability. Very, very excited that we now have a dedicated representative as well.
Thank you. Thanks, Lou. And yeah, lots of work done. I'm sure Jeffra will be very happy to take up that mantle in the new role as well. So back to the questions that are coming in. We have a question from Christina, and this is with regards to the voting results for the support for neurodivergent students. So are we looking at support prior to diagnosis and or access to diagnosis through the university? For example, I am on a waiting list and I have been told it will be 5 years, so I'm not able to access support for most of my degree. Would you like to comment on this, Margaret? Yeah,
I'm happy to come on that. One of the main reasons that I wanted to get this resolution through was because of the waiting lists and the difficulty in accessing support. At the moment, without a diagnosis, you can't access any financial support or any specific support. Although there is support out there, most of the time you need to have that documentation. And yeah, waiting lists are atrocious and they're just getting bigger and bigger. So when I first came into the role, my dream, so to speak, and it's a long-term goal because it's not nothing happens overnight. But what I thought is that trying to capture those who misdiagnosis through when they were in primary and secondary education, because when you become an adult and you're waiting for the doctors, it's so much harder. So I thought, well, people come to the universities, and especially the OU, they come for a second chance and trying to improve themselves where they may not even realize they have a neurodivergent or have a neurodivergent diagnosis or condition. So my ideal would be that every single higher education institution would have like a one-stop shop where you can go, or a tutor directs you to it, but they're like initial assessment, which you can opt out of, but maybe an initial assessment, and if it flags something up, then you can go and either be directed for the diagnosis and get access all the support as well. And while you're waiting for that diagnosis, have that support, which is so, it's paramount to be able to succeed in your studies. And it comes from a personal, I've seen the fight, and I've had to fight myself for my own children. And yeah, I've always thought about those who haven't had someone to fight for them and who slips through the cracks. So that would be my ideal, is that have that one-stop shop where everyone who needs diagnosis gets the diagnosis and then can thrive and have their live the life. Because once you tackle that, there's so many things that come from that. Everyone, there's increase in mental health issues, and not being diagnosed impacts your mental health. So just tackling that one thing can have a massive, wider impact on society itself.
Yeah, I can see your passion coming through for that, and I know that Natalie has that same passion to make sure that this happens.
I'll keep fighting for it as well, even outside of my role. So I'm not going anywhere anytime soon with that.
Thank you, Margaret. I have a question that came in advance, which is for the trustees rather than the student leadership team. So if you're happy, Mark, to take this one. We had a question around how the association are going to be impacted by the financial cuts that the university are making.
Okay, thanks, Beth. So let me answer two ways. I think one is strictly financial, and one which is more important, I think, is the impact it has on the work that the association does and on students in general. So for context, across the university, they've announced a series of cuts to their budgets over the next few years. The bulk of the association's funding comes by way of subvention from the university. So we got caught in that net of cuts. So I guess we took our fair share of that through discussion. There's two ways it's impacting us financially. One is that as budgets have shrunk, the amount of cash available for one-off projects or experimental projects has decreased. So historically, we've taken funding for projects. You saw individual rep earlier. So that was run outside of subvention as a top-up grant. So the ability to access those one-off business cases has declined. So in that case, for Impact for Students, as a student leadership team and a board of trustees, we've agreed to fund that out of our subvention. So that's something we felt was important. You can see the success and demand for it. So we've brought that into our business case. The other impact is that we've agreed with the university that over the next 3 years, our subvention will be declining. So one of the nice things we work with the university, they've been quite forward-looking in planning for this, so we didn't hit a cliff wall of having to find savings. So we're working together. We're in a fortunate situation financially. We have strong reserves, if anything, a little stronger than we'd like. So built up through COVID, especially, our spend went down. So the actual impact on us in the first year was fairly minimal because we kind of had the savings, been running at a lower level of expenses anyway. We're working to look at how we reshape where we can find savings going forwards. I think the impact for students is fairly light. We look all the time at how we can most effectively use the resources we've got and how to prioritise our time wisely. So I know one of the things, Beth, when you came in, one of the concerns we had was that maybe we were doing too many things not well. With a bit more focus, we could do a few things much better and have more impact to more students. So we continue to look at our run rate costs, but we're on that glide path over 3 years. So I'm fairly comfortable as a trustee with our healthy reserves that we can meet it through reserves and through just a little bit planning of what we do.
Thank you. Thanks, Mark. Did any other trustees want to come in, or are you happy? Yeah, happy. Thank you. Okay, I've got a few more questions online. One I can answer quite quickly because I was the one that created the little slide about the 500% increase. So Kathy has asked, with the introduction of one member, one vote a few years back, I thought we had achieved far higher voting results in the last few conferences, especially with conference activities being held behind a vote wall. So Kathy is wondering if the 500% increase mentioned today is in relation to our older voting style or compared to, say, last year. So the one member, one vote was introduced around elections and not conference. So we have seen a big increase in number of people voting for people to be in the student leadership team and trustees. However, conference voting was still capped to the number of delegates who were in attendance on the day or via an online space. But those were capped and had a limit. And so the most votes that we'd had in the last 10 years were 338. But we actually, on average, over the last 10 years, got 288 students voting on issues. So this year, removing that cap and working with Stone King, our legal advisors, to ensure that we are still complying with all of our government guiding documents, we were able to remove that cap and get 1,828 votes on the resolutions, which is where the 500% increase came from. So just to explain that. Okay, there's a couple of questions about the name change. So anyone that wants to talk about that, get ready with your hands, because I have a couple of students asking. One, really excited that we might have a USU hoodie one day, but also Melanie Philpott is excited to see the association's name is going to change. Do we have an estimate of how much the rebranding exercise is going to cost the charity? I don't know if there's any trustees or incoming trustees that would like to answer that question.
I do not have the number in my head. So yeah, there will be a cost. I think one thing I would say is that we periodically do a bit of a splash and a relaunch on logo anyway. So we were at the point of time where we would be spending a little bit money to improve engagement. So there will be a cost, but I think it will be within what we would normally spend anyway. But I do not have a number in my head. I would apologise.
That's fine. We have quite a lot of work to do on that rebrand anyway. So there needs to be further consultation with students, and any of the cost will also obviously contribute to raising awareness. So we need to think about how we do it in a way that most engages students as well. Matt, would you like to come in?
Yes, the question actually mentioned OU hoodies. I'm proudly sporting one today, but I just wanted to point out that the branding on the hoodies is not the association, it's the Open University. So it won't actually increase our costs there until the Open University decide to change.
Thank you. Okay. I have a couple more questions online coming through. So one from Paul. Many thanks for allowing us to have a say and for this fantastic conference. Concerning Resolution E, as a fellow neurodivergent student, I'm curious if the OU Students' Union has a plan for its implementation. It appears that OU Students' Union is planning to launch a campaign to gather input on our needs. Could someone please provide more details on how this campaign will be carried out? So this sounds like a question that could be for you, but also Natalie. So I don't know if you want to come in first this time, Natalie.
Yeah, so at the moment we are already sort of got some planning in place around our support for our neurodivergent students. So we're sort of there's going to be sort of surveys and things coming out shortly, so we can get a feel for the support that people need in a community sense. And as well as we've already been having a lot of conversations with the OU in which we're sort of trying to get them to understand neurodivergent conditions more, because there is a big lack of understanding as well. So it's going to be a big project, but we sort of, it's going to be a slow burn, if that makes sense, just to start while the new team come in, before we start knocking on doors and going, you need to fix this. But we are already sort of in those meetings, in those spaces, trying to get the support and also that understanding of a valid self-diagnosis. With waiting times being as high as they are, even sort of there's government systems that are accepting self-diagnosis and people are getting support that way. So we are already sort of starting, but there will be sort of a wider campaign where we will be asking for the views and the input from neurodivergent students, so that we are tackling the right areas as well and making sure we're speaking to the right people, so we can get more of a change and more understanding and support for students.
Thanks, Natalie. Do you want to come in?
I just wanted to follow on from what Natalie's saying, and mainly focus on, I mean, we are raising this in different areas, but now that the resolution's been passed, we're mandated by students, so that in itself gives us more more clout, or it gives us more of our students are saying this is what we want.
Almost 2,000 students.
Exactly, yeah. And it's not just us speaking in those areas and in those meetings. We've said this is what students want. This is what the students are saying. It's not just me or my colleague. So that in itself will start from our next meeting, and that will give a lot of support. And even though people are listening, they'll really be listening now and actually be making change. So it's all positive.
Thank you. We've got a couple of minutes left before we'll go back to share with everyone what else is happening today. So I'm just going to take 2 quick questions, but any questions that haven't been answered, we will seek to put an answer up on the website, and you'll be able to find a link there, because we don't want your questions to go unanswered, and there's a few here which we can quickly help direct people to find the right places as well. So the first one, I think Matt may like to answer, but wait and see, is with the name change, will we be rebranding as USU with new logos? So I know Matt's quite done a bit of research on this.
I wouldn't say I've done research on it. I don't think we'll be rebranding to USU, because Oxford University have already grabbed that. If we can persuade them to change, then of course, yeah. But failing that, the latest suggestion is OpenSU. So OSU, 3-letter acronym as opposed to 4. And
I think
sustainable, isn't it?
Quite nice, doesn't it? Yeah. Thank you. So I'll finish on one final question then, which is from Billy. And so whoever would like to jump in on this, I'll go to the first person that puts their hand up because of time limit. But Billy would like to say a huge thank you to the outgoing team. You've done an amazing job, but I would like to know what has been your highlight over the last 2 years. Anyone that wants to? Lou.
The volume of emails that we've sent to Gareth. Thank you, Gareth, for your continued patience with all of us, and we've still got a while left, so we'll be keeping you busy.
Would you like to make sure that the students watching understand who Gareth is and why he receives so many emails?
Gareth was deputy president until kind of springtime, and yeah, I'm not sure why, but he just became the information point for us all, and we were taking everything to him, anything we could. And it just became the go-to. If you're not sure, just email Gareth, because he will have an answer. And then he took a job role in the volunteering team, which was rather silly of him, because they opened a second email address, which gave us even more opportunity to send him stuff. So yeah, we've just carried it on, and long may it continue.
Thanks, Lou. And actually, yeah, well done, Gareth, for dealing with the emails. since Gareth is part of the volunteering team, if anyone wants to email him, you can do so by accessing the volunteering pages on our website. So let's let the trend continue. Well, thank you for all of your wonderful questions. Yeah, Mark?
Before we finish, and maybe it's maybe not the appropriate time, but there's 4 groups or 4 sets of people, personal people we'd like to all say thank you to. First, yes, the student leadership team do a huge amount of work with all our volunteers, but we couldn't have done any of it without the association staff. They work absolutely hard. They do absolutely everything to make sure we can fulfill what we want to get done, and without them, they wouldn't happen.
Well done.
Secondly is our trustees. Again, they keep us in check and we keep us realistic to what we can and cannot do. Again, without them, we'd go mad and probably bankrupt the association. So a huge thank you to the trustees. Thirdly, a little one that's not actually been mentioned is the Open University Student Educational Trust. They're the lifeline and the absolute last resort for a lot of students who can't find help elsewhere. Not everybody can be helped. There are eligibility criteria, but they do help as many students as they can. So a good thank you to them. And last but not least, probably the biggest thank you of all is to Margaret. What a president. She doesn't even try to motivate the team. It happens naturally. It's a very natural working together team. I've never experienced anything like it in work in my life. And it's all because of Margaret. Probably, I mean, I'll say it, I probably will disagree with those who've known previous presidents, but best president ever, in my book, probably yes. So thank you, Margaret.
Oh. On that note, I'll let you go back to your lectern. Can let people know what's coming up.
Thank you, everyone. God, sorry, taken aback a bit there. So we hope you will enjoy the rest of the conference of 2024 and take full advantage of all the wonderful sessions we have today on offer. So we've got something for everyone today, from virtual yoga to a session on generative AI, and not forgetting our star speakers, including OU alumni Genuine Mwasha, author Susan Kane, and TV presenter come activist Chris Packham. You can find the full schedule in your app by opening up the menu on the left-hand side. So throughout the day, you can join us for a break in our virtual chat and chill cafe to meet your fellow delegates. And don't forget, you've got plenty of chances to win prizes by just joining sessions. So every session you join gives you 1 entry into the prize draw for a range of prizes, including a chance to win a tablet or a Kindle. Plus, email a selfie or a photo of your conference experience to be in with a chance of winning, So email your photos, and I look forward to seeing them as well. Your photos to oustudents-conference@open.ac.uk. So for all the competition and giveaway details, including terms and conditions, please head over to our website, www.oustudents.com/prize pool, or navigate there via the link in the app menu. So next up, we have a choice of 2 sessions at 11:15. We have Nick Elston hosting a session focused on his own learning and journey through mental health and forging through, and Gemma Church sharing the inspirational work and stories of the OU Students Educational Trust, a charity supporting OU students who have experienced financial hardship. So check out what's next and join our sessions via the Guidebook app or the desktop site, and see you in the digital cafe.